Hey, what's up? Welcome to the channel. Look, I know what you're thinking. You clicked on this video because you saw the title Think and Grow Rich and thought, oh great, another self-help guy telling me to manifest a Ferrari by staring at a wall. Honestly, I get it. I used to be that guy. I thought success was just working 90 hours a week until you burn out and start talking to your houseplants. But then I actually picked up this book. This isn't just get rich quick fluff. This is the grandfather of all success books. Napoleon Hill spent 20 years interviewing the richest, most successful people of his time, Carnegie, Ford, Edison, to figure out how they did it. And guess what? It wasn't magic, and it wasn't just working hard. It was a specific way of thinking. So, for the next hour, grab a coffee or a tea. I'm not judging. Relax, and let's break down the blueprint. I'm going to skip the boring academic stuff and tell you exactly how this actually works in the real world, with none of the guru nonsense. Chapter 1. The Starting Point, Desire. Let's start with the most important chapter, desire. Hill says, desire is the starting point of all achievement. Sounds simple, right? Like something you'd see on a cheesy wall poster in a dentist's office. But here's the catch. Most people don't actually have desire. They have a wish. There is a massive, life-altering difference between a wish and a burning desire. A wish is saying, I wish I had more money. You know what happens when you wish? You get nothing. It's like standing at a bus stop, wishing a limousine would pick you up. It's not going to happen, and you're just going to get tired of waiting. A burning desire is different. It's that feeling you get when you're so hungry that you don't care if you have to crawl through a kitchen window to get a sandwich. It's obsession. It's when you decide, I'm going to get this no matter what. Hill talks about Edwin C. Barnes, this guy who wanted to work with Thomas Edison. Not for him. He didn't have money. He didn't have a business degree, and he didn't even have a ride to get to Edison's office. But he had that burning desire. He showed up. He stayed. He refused to take no for an answer, and eventually, he became Edison's business partner. If you don't have that, I'm going to make this happen fire, you're just wasting time. You need to be obsessed. Now, I know, people will call you crazy. Your friends will say, hey man, let's go play games, or why are you working on this project so late? Let them talk. When you have a goal that scares you a little bit, it usually means you're on the right track. So, here's your first step. Define exactly what you want. Nah, I want to be rich. That's like telling a taxi driver, drive me to somewhere good. You'll end up in the middle of nowhere. Be specific. I want to build a platform that connects laborers to employers by next year. Put a number on it. Put a date on it. Once you know exactly what you want, you need a plan. But we'll get into the planning part in a minute. For now, just ask yourself, do you actually want it? Or do you just want to have it? Because there's a difference. So, you've got your burning desire. You've decided what you want, you've obsessed over it, and now you're ready to go. But wait, usually about 2 days in, reality hits you like a wet towel to the face. You realize, oh man, this is actually hard. This is where most people quit. And this is where Napoleon Hill brings in the secret sauce. Faith. Now, don't get it twisted. I'm not talking about faith in a religious sense. I'm talking about having absolute, unshakable belief that you can and will get what you want, even when you have zero evidence to prove it. Think about it like this. If you're building a project, let's say an app, and you haven't written a single line of code yet, but you're telling everyone, this is going to be the biggest thing in my college. People will look at you like you've lost your marbles. But that's the point. You have to be your own biggest fan because, let's be real, nobody else is going to do it for you. Hill says faith is a state of mind. You can induce it. You can literally trick your brain into believing success is inevitable. How? Through autosuggestion. Sounds like a fancy psychological term, right? It just means talking to yourself. And I know what you're thinking. Wait, talking to myself? People already think I'm weird. Now you want me to start doing it on purpose? Look, we all talk to ourselves. Usually it's negative stuff. I'm too tired. I don't know how to do this. This code is never going to work. All you're doing is feeding your subconscious mind garbage. If you eat junk food, you get sick. If you feed your brain junk thoughts, you get, well, a life full of junk. You have to replace that noise. You need to write down your goal, specifically, and read it out loud, twice a day like a maniac. I know it sounds like some woo-woo self-help nonsense, I thought the same thing. But there is actual science to this. It's called neuroplasticity. If you tell yourself something enough times, your brain stops seeing it as a fantasy and starts seeing it as a fact. Your subconscious mind starts looking for opportunities to make it happen. You'll start noticing things, meeting people, and getting ideas that you were completely blind to before. It's like when you're thinking about buying a specific car, and suddenly, that car is everywhere on the road. The car didn't just appear. Your brain just finally decided to pay attention to it. So, stop doubting yourself. If you're working on a project, or try to learn a complex skill like embedded systems or whatever it is, stop telling yourself, this is too difficult. Tell yourself, I am currently figuring out the solution to this, and I'm getting better every single day. It sounds small, but it's the difference between the guy who stops at the first bug in his code and the guy who keeps going until the system works. Oh, and one more thing, specialized knowledge. Hill argues that general knowledge, the stuff you learn in classes to pass a test, is basically useless for making real wealth. You need specialized knowledge. You need to be the person who knows more about one specific thing than anyone else in the room. You don't need to be a genius. You just need to be a specialist. Be the person who knows the back end, the hardware, the design, or the marketing. If you're just a guy who knows a little bit of everything, you're replaceable. If you're the guy who knows exactly how to fix this critical problem, you're gold. So, don't just accumulate information like a digital pack rat. Figure out what skill you need to get to that next level and go deep. Not, I'll watch a few videos deep. I'm going to master this until it's boring deep. All right, so you've got your burning desire, you're feeding your brain the right stuff, and you're focusing on specialized knowledge. But let's be real, you can't do it all alone. Even if you think you're a lone wolf, eventually you're going to run into a wall that's just too thick to break through by yourself. This is where Napoleon Hill introduces the concept of the mastermind. He defines it as the coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. Basically, a mastermind is like a superbrain. When two people get together and focus on the same goal, they create a third, invisible, larger brain. You've seen this, right? You're stuck on a piece of code for 3 hours, you're getting frustrated, you're about to throw your laptop out the window. Then a friend walks in, looks at the screen for 2 seconds, and says, "Oh, you missed a semicolon there." Boom. Problem solved. That's the power of the mastermind. You need to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you in areas where you're weak. If you're a back-end wizard, find someone who's a design genius. If you're great at the hardware, find someone who knows how to talk to clients. Don't be the smartest person in the room. If you are, you're in the wrong room. And notice the word harmony. You can have the smartest team in the world, but if everyone is busy ego-tripping or trying to sabotage each other, you've got nothing. Harmony is the glue. It's why you've got to pick your partners carefully. Decision. The art of not being a flip-flopper. Now, let's talk about a big one. Decision. Hill did this massive study, and you know what he found? Every single person who failed had one thing in common. They were indecisive. They'd start something, then change their mind, then start something else, then quit. They were like a leaf in the wind. Successful people, on the other hand, make decisions fast and change them slowly, if they change them at all. I know, the fear of making the wrong decision is paralyzing. You think, what if I start this project and it fails? But let me tell you a secret. The absolute worst decision you can make is to make no decision at all. That's just called stagnation. When you decide, you take control. When you don't decide, life makes the decision for you, and it's usually not the one you wanted. Napoleon Hill says that procrastination is the opposite of decision. Procrastination is just the dream killer in disguise. It's that voice that says, I'll start that project tomorrow or I'll learn that skill next week. Guess what? Tomorrow never actually comes. There's only right now. If you're waiting for the perfect time to start your business, or your app, or your big project, stop. The perfect time is a myth. It's like waiting for all the traffic lights in your city to turn green at the same time before you drive to work. You'll be waiting forever. You just get in the car and drive, and you deal with the lights as they come. The persistence factor. And that leads us to the final piece of this puzzle, at least for this section, persistence. There's a quote in the book that I absolutely love. Persistence is to the character of man what carbon is to steel. Think about how many times you've started something and quit because it got a little boring or too hard. We've all been there. But success isn't about being the fastest or the smartest. It's about being the last one standing. You're going to have days where your server crashes, your code doesn't compile, or people tell you your idea is stupid. If you quit when it happens, you were never really in the game to begin with. The difference between the people who make it and the people who stay average is just that they didn't stop when the road got rocky. So here's the challenge. The next time you feel like quitting, don't. Just take one more step. Fix one more bug. Draft one more page of your plan. Just persist. Persistence is basically just stubbornness with a goal. Okay, we've covered the basics. But now we're going to get a little sci-fi. We're going to talk about the subconscious mind. Napoleon Hill calls the subconscious the connecting link between your finite mind and infinite intelligence. I know, that sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but stay with me. Your conscious mind is the part that does the logic. It's the part of you that's reading this script or trying to figure out why your code has a syntax error. But your subconscious? That's the engine room. It's recording everything. Every experience, every fear, every success, every failure. Here's the catch. Your subconscious doesn't care if a thought is true or false. It just executes whatever you feed it. If you keep telling yourself, I'm not good enough for this project, your subconscious treats that as a command. It will literally make you act in ways that ensure you fail. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. But you can hack this. You can force positive, goal-oriented thoughts into your subconscious through repetition and emotion. You can't just think about your goal. You have to feel it. Imagine you've already achieved it. How does it feel to see your project, like Carry Us to, actually helping people? Imagine the relief, the pride, the excitement. That emotional connection is what programs your subconscious to work for you even when you're sleeping. Now, Hill talks about the brain as a broadcasting station. He says our brains are like little radio sets. We pick up vibrations from other people. You've definitely felt this. You walk into a room and the vibe is just off. Everyone is stressed or everyone is hyped. That's not a coincidence. That's your brain picking up the collective mental energy of the people around you. This is why hanging out with energy vampires, the people who only ever complain, is the fastest way to kill your own success. They're broadcasting failure signals, and your brain is tuning into that station. Change your environment. If you want to be a developer, hang out with developers. If you want to be a successful entrepreneur, find people who talk about ideas, not other people. Finally, let's talk about the sixth sense. Hill describes this as the creative imagination. It's that gut feeling or that hunch you get when you just know you're on the right path. Some people call it intuition. Hill calls it the point where your mind touches the infinite. It's that moment when you've been grinding on a problem for days, you walk away, you take a shower or go for a walk, and suddenly, pop, the solution just appears. You didn't think it, it just landed in your mind. That's your sixth sense working. But it only works when you've put in the work first. You can't get a hunch about something you haven't studied. It's the reward for your preparation. The 6 ghosts of fear. Wait, I have to talk about this. Hill talks about the 6 ghosts of fear that stop people from reaching their potential. Fear of poverty, the biggest one. I don't have enough money to start. Fear of criticism, the what will people think of me, trap. Fear of ill health, obsessing over being sick. Fear of loss of love, the insecurity of relationships. Fear of old age, thinking it's too late to start. Fear of death. Look at the fear of criticism. It kills more dreams than anything else. You might be scared to post your first YouTube video because you think your friends might laugh. Guess what? They might. And let them. If they're busy laughing, they aren't busy building. These fears are just ghosts. They aren't real. They're just thoughts you've allowed to take up space in your brain. Next time you feel that fear, call out. Say, oh, there's that ghost of criticism again. Thanks for stopping by, but I'm busy, so get lost. It sounds crazy, but it works. You have to be the boss of your own head. Because if you aren't, someone else will be. All right, so I've been blabbing about these big concepts for a while, and I can almost hear you guys asking the questions that are actually on your mind. So, let's do a little listener Q&A. Pretend I'm sitting there with my best friend, and they're looking at me like I'm crazy. Friend, okay, this all sounds great. But what if I try this and I completely fail? What if my project flops or my business idea goes nowhere? Isn't that just a waste of time? Me, man, I hear that all the time. But here's the truth. Failure is just a fancy word for data collection. Think about it. If you spend months building an app and nobody downloads it, you didn't fail. You just learned that that specific thing wasn't what people wanted. That's valuable info. You don't lose, you just pivot. The only true failure is quitting before you find the version that actually works. You're not a failure. You're an entrepreneur with a lot of research under your belt. Friend, but what about the fear of criticism? I'm scared to put myself out there because my friends might think I'm trying to be some guru or something. Me, listen, everyone has an opinion, but very few people have a plan. Most people are too scared to try anything new, so when they see someone else doing it, their first instinct is to pull that person back down to their level. It's not personal. It's just human nature. If someone critiques you, ask yourself, does this person have the life I want? If the answer is no, why are you listening to them? Keep building. Let your success be the noise canceller. Friend, how do I actually find team? I'm a student. I don't have a network. I don't have money to hire people. How do I start a mastermind? Me, you don't need money to build a team. You need value. Find people who are just as hungry as you are. Go to your college labs, join Discord servers. Look at who's actually putting in the work. You don't need the best developer in the world. You need the person who shows up every day. That's what I did. I found my team because we all shared the same goal, to build something that actually matters. When you're honest about your vision, you attract the right people. Friend, is it really worth all this effort? Like, working late, dealing with stress. Why not just take the easy road? Me, because the easy road is the most expensive road in the long run. The easy road leads to being stuck in a job you hate, wondering what if for the rest of your life. Yeah, working late is hard. Learning how to manage projects or understand complex hardware is a pain. But there is a massive difference between the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. Discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. Choose your harm, man. I'd rather be tired from building my dream than tired from building someone else's. Okay, so we've talked about your mindset. But a mindset without a plan is just a daydream. Napoleon Hill is huge on organized planning. Look, most people don't fail because they aren't smart. They fail because their plan is just I'll figure it out as I go. That's not a plan. That's gambling. You need to build a definite, practical plan. When I was working on my own projects, I learned that you don't need a perfect plan from day one, because no plan is perfect, but you do need a working plan. If your first attempt doesn't work, don't just quit and say I failed. You just gather the data, adjust the variables, and write a new, better plan. That's how real progress is made. You have to be the leader of your own life. And leaders? They take responsibility. If the plan fails, they don't blame the team. They don't blame the environment. They look at the plan and they fix it. Now, we have to talk about something that usually makes people giggle, but it's actually one of the most powerful concepts in the book, the mystery of sex transmutation. I know, it sounds like some weird ancient ritual, but stay with me. Hill isn't talking about anything inappropriate. He's talking about energy. You have this intense, creative, driving force inside you. Most people waste it. They let it dissipate. But if you can transmute, which is just a fancy word for redirect, that energy into your work, your art, your coding, your business, you become unstoppable. Think of it as fuel. If you take all that nervous, high-octane energy you feel when you're passionate about something and pour it into your burning desire, you'll find you can work longer, think sharper, and create things that other people find impossible. It's about discipline. It's about choosing not to leak your energy on things that don't matter, so you can explode with progress on the things that do. Outwitting the ghosts of fear. Now let's get real about the stuff that keeps us up at night. The 6 ghosts of fear. We talked about them, but let's talk about how to beat them. Hill lists the fear of poverty, criticism, ill health, loss of love, old age, and death. But here's the secret. These fears are learned. Nobody is born afraid of what their friends think of their YouTube channel. We learn that by being rejected or mocked. So, since it's a learned behavior, you can unlearn it. How? By analysis. When you feel that gut-wrenching fear of criticism, sit down and write it out. Ask yourself, why am I afraid? Usually when you look at it on paper, it looks silly. I'm afraid because someone might leave a negative comment. Okay, and then? Does the world end? No. You're still here. You're still building. The best way to outweed fear is action. Action is the antidote to fear. When you're busy doing the work, you don't have time to be scared. The fear of poverty? Solve it by creating value. The fear of criticism? Solve it by becoming so good that they can't ignore you. Don't let these ghosts steer your ship. You're the captain. If you hear that little voice in your head telling you it's too risky, tell it, thanks for the warning, but I've got work to do. And remember, guys, this book isn't about getting rich in the sense of just having a big bank account. It's about richness in character. It's about being the person who can look at a massive problem, stay calm, build a team, create a plan, and then execute it with everything you've got. That is real success. Everything you need is already inside you. You just have to clear out the mental junk, focus the desire like a laser, and refuse to stop until you've reached the goal you set for yourself on day one. Okay, so we've talked about how to succeed, but sometimes the best way to move forward is to stop doing the stuff that's holding you back. Napoleon Hill studied thousands of people who didn't make it, and he found they all fell into the same traps. I'm going to run through the big ones. Think of this as a warning label for your brain. Lack of a well-defined purpose. If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there, but you'll probably end up somewhere you hate. Lack of ambition. If you're okay with being average, that's a choice. But don't complain when you get average results. Procrastination. This is the ghost that kills the most dreams. I'll do it later is a lie you tell yourself to feel better about doing nothing now. Lack of persistence. Most people quit at the exact moment the miracle was about to happen. Negative personality. If you're the person who sucks the energy out of the room, nobody is going to want to help you build your dream. Uncontrolled sexual desire. Like we talked about, if you're leaking your energy, you've got nothing left for your work. Uncontrolled desire for something for nothing. Gambling, shortcuts, get-rich-quick schemes. There is no such thing as a free lunch, man. Lack of a well-defined decision. You're flip-flopping. One day you're all in, the next you're bored. Pick a lane and stay in it. Trying to do too many things. You're multitasking. You're building an app, learning guitar, try to be a fitness influencer, and starting a podcast. Focus. Be a master of one thing, then move to the next. Intolerance. If you refuse to listen to anyone else's ideas, you're cutting yourself off from the world intelligence. Pause for effect. I could keep going, but you get the point. These aren't just bad habits. These are failure magnets. Look at your own life. Which one of these are you guilty of? I'll be the first to admit, I've been guilty of procrastination and trying to do too many things at once. It's human, but the moment you acknowledge, hey, I'm doing that, is the moment you have the power to stop. Don't let these be the reason you never finished your project. Don't let these be the reason you never uploaded that video you've been dreaming about. It's easy to blame the economy or your college or your lack of connections. But blaming is the ultimate act of giving away your power. When you blame, you're saying, my success depends on someone else. Wrong. Your success is 100% on you. If you don't have the skills, learn them. If you don't have the team, build one. If you don't have the plan, write it. You're the architect of your own life. Everything we've talked about, the desire, the faith, the mastermind, the specialized knowledge, it's just tools. A hammer doesn't build a house. A carpenter does. You're the carpenter. So, stop looking for a secret and start looking at the work in front of you. That code, that design, that study session, that YouTube video, that's not just work. That's your legacy. That's how you define who you are. We've covered a lot. We've talked about desire, about faith, about the mastermind, and the traps that kill dreams. But I want to leave you with the heaviest, most powerful concept in the entire book. Hill calls it infinite intelligence. I know it sounds super deep, but think about it this way. You are not just a collection of cells. You're a part of something much bigger. When you truly connect with your purpose, when you find that thing you were meant to build, it's like you plug your brain into a power source that doesn't run out. Have you ever had a day where everything just clicked? Where the ideas flowed, the code worked perfectly, the team was in sync, and you felt like you couldn't miss? That's what it feels like to align with your purpose. You stop pushing the rock up the hill and start guiding it. But you only get to that point if you drop the ego. You have to be willing to be a student for life. I don't care how much you know about ARM architecture or Node.js or business. If you think you've finished learning, you've started dying. Stay hungry. Stay curious. The final reality check. Look, I'm going to be real with you. You're going to walk away from this video, and tomorrow morning, you're going to wake up and you're going to have the same life, the same problems, and the same challenges. The book won't change your life. You will. Napoleon Hill's principles are just the blueprint. You have to lay the bricks. You have to show up when you're tired. You have to study when you'd rather be gaming. You have to believe in your project, even when your bank account is empty and your friends think you're wasting your time. If you want the result, you have to be willing to pay the price. And the price isn't money. The price is consistency. Before I go, I want to say something. I started this channel because I was tired of all the hustle culture noise that tells you to work yourself to death. I wanted to build a place where we can actually talk about how to grow, how to build things that matter, and how to stay sane while doing it. If you've stuck with me through this entire hour, that means you're different. You're not the type of person who just consumes information and forgets it 5 minutes later. You're the type of person who builds. If you appreciate this breakdown, if it helped you clear some mental clutter or gave you a new way to look at your projects, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button. I'm not doing this for the algorithm. I'm doing this because I want to build a community of people who are actually doing the work, so you can see what works and what doesn't. If you want a shortcut to success, there isn't one. But if you want to be part of a team that's constantly figuring it out, then you're in the right place. Subscribe, drop a comment below telling me exactly what your burning desire is. I read all of them. And let's keep each other accountable. Don't just watch this and move on to the next cat video. Take one thing from this hour, go to your desk, and do it right now. You've got the power.